How you doing, guys? Too Busy Gamers here, and I want to talk to you about The Evil Within 2 and why I think it's way better than you were led to believe. I think The Evil Within 2 will go down with Nier Automata as 2017's most criminally underplayed games. I was a fan of the original game, and though it definitely had its fair share of problems, beneath all that was a good action horror game we hadn't seen in years. So leading up to The Evil Within 2, I decided to ignore all coverage of the game so I could go in blind and play it without any spoilers. And needless to say, I bloody loved it. So I went back and checked out all the big reviews for the game and what they thought. Though they didn't say anything bad about it, I think they shockingly undersold it. So with that in mind, guys, I'm going to give you my opinion of the game while trying to keep spoilers to a minimum. So here's why I think The Evil Within 2 is a game you should at least give a go. So let's take a look. So I'm not going to go into detail about the plot because I don't want to spoil the story for anyone that hasn't played it yet. So, The Evil Within 2 takes place after the first game and is directly connected to it with the story. But this time the story takes much more personal direction, and I feel that you don't really need to play the first game to understand what's going on. You may be a tad confused when you first start the game, but it does a really good job at explaining the world and the important events that lead up to this one. The main character, Sebastian, this time is a much more fleshed out person. Though he still is quite one-dimensional, he's a much more likeable character and much easier to get behind. The supporting cast is also fine. They do a good job at progressing the story and giving you side objectives to do, which I'll come back to later. I feel like The Evil Within 2 has copped a bit of dislike because of its weak story and characters. The story starts off slow, following Sebastian in his search for his daughter, but a short way into the game, the story will open up to a larger conspiracy involving the majority of the cast. Its story still has a few twists and turns to keep you engaged and wanting to see it to the end. Also, I really like the antagonist, and learning more about him and why he did the things he did is interesting. Where this game definitely succeeds is in its gameplay and mechanics. Moving away from the linear approach to the first game, The Evil Within 2 has a large hub area for you to explore and gather loot, resources, and take on some side missions and unique events hidden in the area. The story also takes place in these hub areas, as well as more closed off areas that are specially designed for the story and follow a more linear approach like the original game. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't Far Cry or Assassin's Creed style gameplay with tons of side quests and more collectibles. The Evil Within 2 is still a very focused game and balances these elements beautifully. At the core of its gameplay is its progression systems, where you can upgrade Sebastian and his weapons. His skill trees are broken up into 5 areas. You have health, athleticism, recovery, stealth, and combat. Now these all seem pretty straightforward, but The Evil Within 2 will cater to how you want to play, whether it be action or stealth, or maybe just a bit of both. Each of the skill trees have perks as well that complement the gameplay. For example, the bottle break skill. You can carry these bottles in your inventory which you can throw to distract monsters. But what this skill does is when a monster grabs you, you'll automatically grab a bottle from your inventory and smash it over your monster's head, instead of losing health when you're trying to struggle out of a grab. Another great skill for stealth players is the ambush skill. So when directly behind a monster or in cover, when prompted you can do a quick kill. Some of these perks can also be upgraded to be even more effective as well. Now, to upgrade Sebastian, you'll need green gel, which can be found in the environment but is mainly collected from the monsters you kill. Now, a little bit harder to come by are the weapon parts you use to upgrade the many weapons you'll find as you play through the game. And you can upgrade these weapons at workbenches. Most weapons have 4 upgrade paths. You have firepower, ammo capacity, rate of fire, and reload time. Now, upgrading these weapons are essential, so focus on the ones you like to use the most. So it really pays off to take the time to explore these areas of the game. Though not essential, I feel that it greatly improves the experience of the game. There's also a small handful of side missions to do that I would recommend doing because the rewards you get are fantastic, and they're good little self-contained missions with their own stories. One of the biggest complaints I've heard about the game is its controls. Now honestly, we're all gamers here, so if you've played a third person shooter before, you're not really going to have any dramas here. There are a lot of mechanics in the game, so you do need to learn some of the button combinations, but after a bit of time playing, you will be no worries. Controlling Sebastian and combat is greatly improved over the original game. Sebastian's controls and movement are fluid and play nice, When you first start playing, it seems like he moves quite slow compared to other games. But in the context of the game, it's actually quite good and actually helps with the darker areas of the game and helps with like spotting loot or collectibles. The shooting is fast and responsive and plays a lot more like the third person Resident Evil games. To help with finding and making your way through the areas of the game is your communicator. You can use the communicator to pick up signals that will lead you to special events or item caches with valuable items and equipment. The use of light and surprisingly colour in this game is really top notch as well, and really important as a lot of the game is played at night time. The atmosphere and tone of the game are fantastic, though slightly different in tone to the first game. This one I feel is more grounded in tone and probably less bizarre, but I definitely would say it does a much better job at scaring you and keeping you on edge. In terms of sound, the voice acting is fine, though not top quality, but it's far from cringeworthy acting of the old Resident Evil games. The sound effects are really top notch as well, from the sound of the monsters to things rustling in their environment. They really add to the atmosphere of the game. Its soundtrack is quite minimum, mainly using like ambient sounds, and I wouldn't call it music, but there's like a constant sound in the background. Like you can't quite put your finger on it, but it's definitely there and it just adds to the creepiness. All in all guys, I think The Evil Within 2 is one of the best action horror games we've had in a long time. And I'm super happy to be able to play this game now, in what seems to be a sea of survival horror games where all you do is just run away. Its fantastic gameplay is complemented with a great tone and atmosphere, and supported with a decent story and cast of characters that will help you get through to the end of the story, which took me just under 20 hours to finish. And I think the main thing I want you guys to take from this video is just take your time playing the game. Don't rush through it because you'll miss half the experience. So that's my opinion on The Evil Within 2 and why I think it's a much better game than you guys were led to believe. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game as well if you guys have played it, so sound off in the comment section below. If you guys liked what you saw, please drop us a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate your support. As always guys, thank you all for watching, and until next time, we'll see you down under.